Finally, I've reached the bottom of the Pizzaplex. Now, I can finally figure out what's controlling. Oh, come on. Welcome back to another Five Nights at Freddy's theory, and today I want to figure out what this scene from Help Wanted 2 was supposed to be telling us. This stupid van scene has been driving me crazy for months, and it's only gotten worse since the actual release of Secret of the Mimic. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let's go back to December of 2024, when we first got this free content update in Help Wanted 2. It wasn't a massive update or anything, but it was teasing the upcoming release of Secret of the Mimic. This teaser included this building with the number 4625 on it, along with this van containing the MXES machine. Once entering the number found on the mailbox into the MXES machine, the van then drives away into the void, leaving us to question, what the f just happened? And we were left like that until the eventual release of Secret of the Mimic 6 months later. We figured out that the building we saw is just the scale model of MCM that Edwin has. The number is the frequency that Edwin uses in order to make the Mimic act more like Fiona, and the van looks suspiciously similar to Arnold's van. But we never figured out where this van is actually going, and it's been eating me up inside. In fact, this detail was so big to me, it was holding me back from believing a great theory that I heard shortly after the release of Secret of the Mimic, Fazburger. Now, some of you might not know what I'm talking about when I say Fazburger, so let me give you a brief enough summary that you'll get the general idea, but if you want to learn more about it, you'll have to go check out Cryonite's video on it. Basically, what Cryonite is presenting here is that all the locations that we play in throughout all of the games plus Fredbear's Family Diner are in a sort of burger style, with one location just being stacked right on top of the next. That includes the new location that we've got in Secret of the Mimic, Murray's Costume Manor. Since then, we've gotten a few other theories with similar ideas but different conclusions, one of them being Fazplot from Withered Circle and the other being Fazbarn from Fazbear Entertainment. All three of these theories are incredible, and you should go check them out down in the description below, but what's important to note here is that three separate theorists came to a very similar conclusion, while I'm sitting over here stuck on the fence because of a stupid van. Well, maybe I shouldn't say stupid, because I think it is important to note that if the MXES machine is getting moved from MCM whenever Fazbear Entertainment is just going to build on top of MCM, then there has to be a reason that this machine is getting moved in the first place, correct? My initial conclusion was that MCM wasn't a part of the Fazburger, and you probably saw that in my video going over how MCM is in Arizona, which I don't believe anymore, okay, even though Steel Wool still hasn't removed those stupid newspapers that mention Arizona. So even though I stopped believing in the idea that MCM was in Arizona, I still kept the idea that maybe MCM wasn't a part of the Fazburger by believing things like, oh, maybe the Mimic just stole a 2x4 every now and then whenever there was construction in the Pizzaplex in order to recreate what he thought MCM looked like. This idea stemmed from how we see the Mimic recreate the Help Wanted games throughout the Pizzaplex. If it's able to recreate these games in this building, then why wouldn't it be able to recreate MCM underneath the Pizzaplex as long as it's given enough time and resources? And clearly, I was wrong. Like I said earlier, I could easily see the Mimic recreating MCM from memory just by stealing the occasional 2x4, but being able to steal the amount of 2x4s to recreate what we see in Ruin, somebody's going to have noticed all those materials missing. So I had to accept that Fazburger was right, but I still had that stupid bug in my head. Why is this van being shown to us? Why is MXES getting moved, and where is it getting moved to that's so important? Well, in order to get that answer, we need to go outside of the Fazburger. I know, this entire time I've been saying that I'm not a Fazburger believer, and just as I say I'm going to believe in it, then I'm going to tell you that we're going outside of it, when I've already said that all of the games are inside of the Fazburger. Well, technically, with how I worded it, I didn't lie to you. Well, actually, I kind of did, because one of the locations that we need to talk about is in a game, but it's in a game with questionable continuity. Doesn't matter. There are two locations that without a shadow animatronic of a doubt I can prove are not in the Fazburger, and that is where we are going to find our missing MXES. Let's take it back like it's 1985 in Jeff's Pizza with Into the Pit. This location, while being one of the most important in the series by being the location of the MCI, isn't in the Fazburger. The original story that we get says that after Freddy Fazbear's closes in 1985, it was eventually bought out, which means that Fazbear Entertainment wouldn't have been able to hold on to that location in order to continue building on top of it. Oswald mentions that this location has changed hands every now and then over the years, eventually landing on Jeff's Pizza in about 2018 whenever this story takes place. So after the MCI, Fazbear Entertainment doesn't seem to come back to this location at all. Now, of course, in the books, we're not going to be able to get any solid confirmation that MXES was plugged into this building at one point, but the game is a completely different story. After fixing any of the arcade cabinets in Jeff's Pizza, for a split second after booting it up, you will see a binary message that when translated says, "Always watching." Kinda like how I pointed out in my Vengeful Fiona theory how there are literal eyeballs watching us throughout Secret of the Mimic and Ruin. From the Mycelium Men, to random machinery, to spray-painted eyeballs, heck, even the carpets have eyeballs printed on them. Not to mention, we also have all the messages we receive from F10 in Secret of the Mimic that have binary titles. The always watching messages that we find in Into the Pit are just remnants of whenever MXES was plugged into this building. Now, like I said, this game has questionable continuity, but that doesn't mean that it's not giving us a helpful hint. The 1985 location shouldn't be in the Fazburger. This token from Help Wanted shows that Freddy Fazbear's first opened in 1983, the same year that the Bite of 83 happens in FNAF 4, where we see Toys of the Freddy's Gang, meaning that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was opened at the same time as Fredbear's Family Diner. So unless Fredbear's Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza are just renting the same building, it seems like these two locations are not going to be in the same place, meaning that one of them is not going to be in the Fazburger. And because the original theory does have evidence saying that Fredbear's Family Diner is in the Fazburger, that means that the one that we have to get rid of is Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1985. Now, while this does answer where MXES could have been driven off to, it doesn't really give a satisfying taste in my mouth. Fazburger feels a little sour now. But there is one more location that we know existed, we know very little about, and can confirm is not in the Fazburger: Circus Baby's Pizza World. Now, don't get this confused with Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental. That is a different location and is most certainly in the Fazburger. Circus Baby's Pizza World is the location that Circus Baby talks about in Sister Location that got closed down. The Entertainment and Rental location is the one that we are exploring in Sister Location. Got the difference? Now, in order to get the information we need for this theory, we need to go back, way back when Scott used to do these teasers on his website for upcoming games. One of these things that Scott posted was probably the scariest thing that the FNAF community could think of at the time: a game cancellation. At least that's what it looked like by reading "canceled due to leaks," but at this point we all knew that Scott liked trolling the community a little bit and liked hiding details in images and forcing us to overexpose them in order to find those secrets. And this image did both of those things. He trolled the entire community by making us believe that the game was getting canceled, only for us to then realize that there was more to this image when you overexposed it. After cranking up the exposure, we find a paragraph from a newspaper article talking about Circus Baby's Pizza World. The paragraph itself then gave more explanation to the original image we got. The original image saying "canceled due to leaks" is not because the game was getting canceled, but because Circus Baby's Pizza World was canceled. Continuing to read the article, we actually find two very important things for this theory about this location. One being that this location was sold very soon after the original date that they were supposed to open. And 2, there was apparently an eyewitness who saw them moving large equipment out of the building in the middle of the night. I wonder where else we've seen a large piece of equipment getting moved in the dark recently. It's MXES. I'm talking about MXES here. Now, should it be a surprise to anyone that MXES has something to do with Circus Baby's Pizzeria? No, not at all. The fact that the Fun Times have a very strange relationship with the Mimic by all having Mimic-like abilities should be a dead giveaway that the Mimic has something to do with the Fun Times. Our alarm bells have been ringing ever since the release of Help Wanted 2 that Sister Location was going to play a huge part in the upcoming lore. Help Wanted 2 was absolutely filled with Sister Location stuff, with the title screen having mostly Funtime animatronics and the PC having a literal folder that's just named Sister Location. Now, it seems like the importance of all of these things pointing back to Sister Location is because MXES was at Circus Baby's restaurant. In fact, I think this is where Afton tried to recreate Edwin's work by making his own versions of the Mimic with the Fun Times. Except Afton saw how dangerous the original Mimic was. It took Fazburger Entertainment years to safely get into MCM in order to retrieve their property. Trying to recreate the same animatronic but expecting a different result would have quite literally been the definition of insanity. The technology was too dangerous if it was left unrestricted. So in order for him to have more power over them and make sure that they wouldn't turn on him the same way that the Mimic turned on Edwin, he separated the functionality between different animatronics, making sure that not all of the Mimic was in one body. And it seemed to work out great, until they realized that they could merge into one animatronic and have all of their functionalities in one body. So what does this all mean about MXES and what we're gonna get after Secret of the Mimic? Well, besides it just fixing one of the biggest problems that I've had with Fazburger, I think this is going to tell us where we're going in the Secret of the Mimic DLC. While everyone else is thinking that we're getting a Fall Fest or a Fredbear's DLC, I think Steel Wool is trying to subtly hint that we're going to Circus Baby's Pizza World. Again, they've been heavily referencing Sister Location since Ruin, with the Plush Baby Room, Help Wanted 2, John FNAF's interview that just had Circus Baby's head just sitting there, and now Secret of the Mimic is showing us 2 new animatronics that have very similar design traits between the Fun Times. And it's not like we have no reason to go to this location either. Sure, everyone is thinking Fredbear's and Fall Fest at this time, but there's some unanswered questions surrounding Circus Baby's restaurant as well. The biggest one that comes to mind is what the hell this Springlock suit was, especially now that we're getting more information about Springlocks. Something about Circus Baby is going to be vital for the modern lore. And similar to how we need to go back into the 70s in order to learn about the Mimic, I think we also need to go back to Circus Baby's restaurant to learn more about Circus Baby and the Fun Times. And that is where I'm going to leave today's video. But before you go, I want to let you know about the upcoming One More Night DVD event that starts this Thursday, the 13th, and goes to the 15th. You'll see me playing DBD with a bunch of other creators in a competition for charity. The charity is Movember, an organization that helps with men's health. And the reason why I look a little scruffy right now, because normally they ask you to grow out a mustache, but because I already have one, I decided I'd try and grow out the rest of my facial hair, and it just doesn't look great. So during the event, you can come here and watch my perspective live. You can go to any of these lovely people and see if they're live during the event, or you can go over to Jerikai's channel, the host of this event. So this Thursday, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come watch us play Dead by Daylight, and if you can, please donate, because it goes to a good cause. And since you made it this far into the video, make sure to leave a comment down below on what you thought on the theory, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to see more of my content in the future. Thanks again for watching to the very end, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!